The NIV is what you call a functional equivalent. What that means is the NIV's top priority, that their first goal is for you to understand what you're reading. Their top goal is not to do a word-for-word translation of the original manuscript. The King James Version is what you call a formal equivalent. A formal equivalent, the top goal is word-for-word translation of the original manuscript. Let's go back to the NIV. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. Everybody got that? All right, King James. Then fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done through the apostles. That's different. You guys notice that? NIV, functional equivalent, their first priority, you understand. King James, formal equivalent, first priority, word-for-word translation. Now, here's one of the challenges. The King James Version of the Bible is translated from manuscripts that were available in the 1600s. But the NIV is translated from manuscripts that are available earlier than the 1600s. We just found them later. We find the Dead Sea Scrolls in the 1940s. So every version of the Bible that comes after the 1940s are actually translated from earlier manuscripts, older manuscripts than the King James Version. Now, how do we determine which one of these is actually right, the NIV or the King James? I'm going to tell you how we do it. We do it by finding a modern version that uses the oldest manuscripts, but that is a formal translation, meaning its commitment is word for word. One of those versions is the ESV. Look how the ESV translates it. And all came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. I want you to know that as I looked at 26 different versions or translations of the Bible, the NIV is the only one that said that people were in awe at the signs and wonders. Every other version says they were in fear or awe and the signs and wonders. Why is this important? We need to know whether or not the apostles or whether or not the church, the early church, whether or not they were in awe and fear because of the signs or before the signs. And according to most translations of the Bible, the church was in awe before the signs. Why is this important? Because them being in awe before the signs gives us some idea that perhaps the condition and the environment the church was in